Horses is a game that I only heard about through an IGN post, and I had to really read about this. It was an independent game by an Italian group of developers that, were releasing this pretty controversial but artistic type of horror game, which, games are really interesting in that we see the medium have a consistent state of what's allowed and what's not allowed. And this game was pushing a lot of topics that typically aren't in games. That makes sense? Right. Right. Not on Steam, right? Not on Epic. GOG. Okay. Right. Right. Okay. Why am I using this program again? Okay. Right. And right. Okay, so I probably shouldn't play this game, and this is what I was telling myself, but, I want to explore art, and I want to explore how much we can push the games industry into topics that make people uncomfortable. But like I said, there was some actual stuff which shouldn't be allowed in a game. Right. Okay. So when you're on the farm, you meet this person where things start somewhat normal. You're just helping around the farm. It should be a very wholesome kind of experience. You notice that these horses are actually human beings that wear horse masks and that are all naked. What we're here for is to learn about the farm and what activities we can do on the farm. Day to day, we have tasks. It's a beautiful thing, right? We love working on a farm. We're trying to get away from that corporate lifestyle, right? We're picking carrots, potatoes, putting in the bag. We're feeding the dog. The dog's cute. What's interesting about the game loop is, it could be that simple. Like, it's just day to day. You start in the morning, you feed the dog, but like it constantly throws curveballs at you. Like you're doing something totally different. Oh, you're doing a horse race on top of these, human slaves. Oh, you go to the back and you see the horses are fornicating. So the main drive of the game is that you're kind of slowly uncovering what the hell is going on here. You're greeted to tons of live action imagery, which is like kind of hilarious at first. You're at the dinner table with the owner and you'll see the food swallowing down your throat. It starts kind of funny and comical and you're like, what the hell is going on? There's the live action videos, there's the weird expression, there's the weird questions. But slowly it actually gets gratuitous and it gets disturbing. And I think this is where the line starts to cross for me. Yeah, it should have crossed at the start, but I'm open to art to an extent. And you're slowly doing these tasks and things are consistently getting more bizarre. So as any good horror movie, you're slowly uncovering what is really going on here. And the payoff is actually pretty worthwhile. There's a lot of like unexpectedly interesting symbology which happens. I find the excessive violence kind of puts a bad taste in your mouth, but overall, this is an interesting horror concept, and the gameplay loop is actually pretty refreshing. Stylistically, I think the game does a bunch of interesting things. It's kind of like it's a black and white film from the silent era, and there's no dialogue, which is refreshing in a game. The ambience and the mood is already very strange and unnatural and something we're not really used to typically. A lot of the sound effects are when dramatic things happen, which is kind of like how it would have been in the silent film era. There wasn't actually constant sound effects. There was one-off sounds. There is one scene in particular which involves a doctor checking in with one of the horses in the shed alone, which particularly pushed me over the edge. It's so disturbing that I'm not even comfortable showing any of it here. There is the occasional dialogue option event, which allows you to react to things differently or respond to the owner differently, but it's more of like a little gag than an actual tangible thing which changes the outcome of the game or something like that. Every time you go to the back and something more insane is happening, eventually, so much horror becomes comedy. And then that is when, I felt something interesting in me, and I was just feeling, I don't know what I'm supposed to be feeling. I'm feeling disgusted. Then something so ridiculous would happen that you laugh out loud. Then you're going to have the full motion video, and then you're probably going to laugh out loud. Then you're going to actually see some seriously disturbing stuff, and you're going to be like, yeah, I need a break from this game. There are a few actual touching moments where you're learning about the horses and their struggles and the experiences they have gone through on this farm. Those moments don't come very often, then it goes right back to the usual complete cancer and chaos. The entire game experience is about 2 to 3 hours long, and the payoff by the end when you understand what is going on and the backstory of these characters and the backstory of this farm actually feels like, this is a horror movie. People would see it. It would have, people would see, and you'd be fucking. It would have like a 3 out of 4 and a 3 out of 4. If this was put in a film, had similar artistic direction, had similar imagery, and even the grotesque stuff, people would still call this like elevated horror, which is hilarious. But once it touches video games, we're not allowed to experience something like this. The game itself is a worthwhile experience. It's not available really anywhere, so I'd say find a way to support these developers. To the developers, hi. And thank you for letting me play horses. I would like to erase that from my memory.